It's a Datcast. It's a Datcast. It's a Datcast. Daccast. Cause I said it's a Datcast. It's a Datcast. It's a Datcast. Datcast. Daccast. Daccast.
You're listening to Datcast, produced by students of Danville Area Community College.
Hey, welcome back to Datcast. I'm Erin Anderson.
And I'm Landon Frazier. Our mission with Datcast is to create a platform that's made for students and created by students. With that being said, we are here today with community member Shannon Schroeder. We are happy to have you here today, Shannon.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here.
We're so excited to bring you today's episode. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do in the community?
Sure. My name's Shannon Schroeder, and I'm a Danville resident. And my latest project is to provide, I'm a publisher of Danville Area Living magazine, which is, yes, she's got to look at Vanna White over there. It is a local magazine that's all about people in the community, and it's sponsored by people in the community, and it's just all good news, nothing even controversial. So it's just really refreshing and upbeat.
Can you tell us how you kind of got started into that?
I stumbled across it. Yes, I can. I stumbled across it. I got an email. I always like to put my name out there in kind of middle management and sales positions on the job search firms. Not like I was looking, but because I like to see what's coming into the area. And so I got something from someone called Best Version Media, and I ended up clicking on it. And they said, put your phone number in. Okay. Put your email in. Okay. And then they said, attach your resume. And I said, no. Click out. I wasn't interested. I wasn't looking. But then when I actually did a little research, this was a really incredible company that had been around for a long time. Best Version Media has magazines all in every state and in every province in Canada. There are over 40 million magazines that will be distributed this year alone. So, and it was such a good culture. And I thought, this is going to be great for Danville if we can bring this to the county.
So how do people get this? Does it go to in their mail or?
It does. It gets mailed to the circulation area. Now, right now, our circulation is about 2,100 people. And if anyone wanted to be a part of it, all they'd have to do is just, message me and I could add them to the circulation, certainly. And that's because we needed to actually be able to fund the magazine before we could get out there and get it rolling. We also have the city gets extra copies, Vermilion Advantage gets extra copies. We give extra copies to people who are kind of ambassadors or organizations and entities that are ambassadors for the community. Because I looked at this and thought, what a great recruiting tool. What a great opportunity for people to see more about what's good and what's going on in the area.
How do you write stories do you write the stories, or does Young Living kind of do the stories, and then how do you include everything in a magazine for the month?
Well, I have a content coordinator, Lisa Lovelace, who is a fantastic writer, and she does really most of my writing. It's funny you said Young Living, because that's my oil company, but this is Danville Area Living. But I had to catch that and do a little oil pitch too.
Well, we have a little note in here for Young Living.
I do, and I saw it on your cup, so that's why I said it. But Danville Area Living.
No problem,
yes.
No problem. But thanks for getting that in there too. But we look for good stories that are going along, and then we also have people that come to us with stories. So what will be coming up in the next month is Midwest Gymnastics. Is just a little sports story about Midwest Gymnastics. They just had some kids go to state, and they're representing them. They competed against these giant gyms, and so we have a little picture of them and just an example of some things of what's going on here. So we've got a lot of people that bring us stories as well.
So it comes once a month?
Yes, it's monthly.
That's a great tool for, for me with theater and music and stuff. We could put that stuff in there and advertise things as well.
Yeah. Yes, there's a whole calendar of events. And as we go on, the June issue, it's not, obviously May just got out, but the June issue has almost 2 pages of events, because there's so much to do in this area.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
Especially
much.
in the summertime.
Yes.
All the county fairs and all of the summertime events that happen also.
So you're also on the District 118 school board. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got involved with that and what you do on the board?
Sure. I've been a member now for boy, it's coming up on 5 years, just a little over 5 years. I've been through 2 elections. I've won 2 elections, been through 3 actually. The board consists of 7 members, plus of course we have our chief administrator, our superintendent. So they consider us kind of a team of 8, and we're elected by people who live in the school district area, as are the other boards within the county for their area. And the school board's job is to decide the policy of the district. We hire one person, we hire the superintendent, and then we help the superintendent administer the policy. She administers it, and then we use the policy to be able to not tell her what to do, but guide her in what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of going back, we were talking about Young Living, and I kind of mentioned that, but can you talk a little bit more about what that is and what you do with that?
Yes, Young Living is an essential oil and wellness company, which is another thing I stumbled into years ago. It's been now, I think, 6 years, and I can tell you, I got involved accidentally. I'm not a person who's into wellness, at least certainly wasn't then, but I was a runner who had hurt myself running, and just kept running on my hurt foot, and I injured myself and was at the point where I was going to need to go to a doctor. I was like, oh, and the doctor, I figured, I love doctors, but I was just like, this doctor's going to tell me to stop running and lose weight. And I didn't need to pay a doctor to tell me that. I knew that. So I thought maybe there's some sort of thing that could help me. And so I had some weird oily friends. And so I reached out to my friend Melissa, and she introduced me to this. And I tried it and it worked. And then I tried another oil and it worked. And then I just have a big mouth. So everything I tried worked. And so then people started saying, well, what are you doing about this? And what are you doing about this? And things just kept working. So that's how I kind of accidentally built a little organization with that. And it just really helped a lot of people. I think the common theme, because I had somebody say to me, what do you've bounced around a lot. And I was like, well, not really, not in my mind, because my whole role is encouraging people and helping people have a better life. And when you look at that as the theme of everything that's run, even when I've volunteered with, that's what I do. If it's just administrative or something, I'm probably not going to be involved with it, because I just really like to be that person who encourages and helps build people up.
How did you end up? You said you already kind of fell into all these things, but how did you tell us a little bit about your academic career and how you ended up in the career that you have today?
So that is an incredible, wild, Mr. Toad's wild ride of a journey. I grew up in the Danville schools. I'm the 4th generation Danville schools. And then I went to University of Illinois, and I actually went there as a music major, switched majors a couple of times, and then ended up graduating with a degree in advertising through the School of Media at the time. Mm-hmm. And I went to law school. And so I went to law school at Drake University. And after that, I graduated there with honors, and it was great, but I still didn't quite know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I ended up becoming a prosecutor in Milwaukee. So I worked with the assistant DA's office in Milwaukee, and it was an incredible job. I really enjoyed it. I liked being in the courtroom and making a difference. But it wasn't long before I realized that while I think we do have the best system of government on the planet, it's still where I was working seemed broken. And so there were some things that I just couldn't abide by. So I decided to leave leave the law, really. And then I went and I worked with a training company in Chicago. My parents were like, what? You have all these loans and you're leaving? Why didn't you decide before you took these loans out when you were still in law school? But because I have that background, I never had to worry about are you smart? No, I did this, so I guess I'm smart, but now I get to lead with my heart. Mm-hmm. So I did the training in Chicago and then came back home. My dad was sick, and I came home to help take care of him. And this is sad. The day I moved home, he died. So I needed to decide, well, now what? I had a totally clean page, and I decided to stay. I didn't expect to stay for all these years. That was back in 1993 when you guys were probably just gleams in your parents' eyes.
I was born in 2003.
Okay, yeah, 2002
so
for
10
me.
years before you were born, I moved back here and didn't intend to stay. But here I still am.
And you think that was the right decision for you to stay here in Danville?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this community, and I want to be a part of helping to build this community. I think personally my faith is all a big part of it. I mean, I really do believe that God's got a lot of business to do here with this area, and I'm really, really happy to be able to contribute to my little corner of the world here.
You've done a lot of different things in a lot of different areas of Danville and of Vermilion County, and I think that that's awesome that you're able to kind of lead by example, in a sense.
Yeah, I met you through you directing theater.
Yes.
So you've done almost everything here, sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm also involved with Arts in the Park. I'm on
yeah.
the board of Arts in the Park, which we have a good event coming up. We have our annual beloved event coming up at the end of June. But yeah, I met you through theater, through DLO, and I did a lot of directing for a while and loved that. I just love kind of doing things that seem impossible and being able to, again, build up and encourage people. And it's great to watch people grow, especially young people in theater.
So kind of transitioning back to when you were talking about your experiences at the University of Illinois, can you explain how, sometimes college students have a hard time deciding what they want to do with their lives? And can you talk about that transition from high school to college?
The transition for me from high school to college was challenging. My senior year of high school, my dad left his job. So we went from, I'm not going to have any problems, to suddenly there's no money for college. So my mother and I scrambled for me to learn to have scholarships and to be able to even get to school. And so I went into school with a different mindset than I really thought, because I thought, I'm going to be comfortable. I was not comfortable at all. I had to work a lot, and I had to really make it through school. And so one of the things that I did is one of the reasons that honestly I went into music is because I knew there were scholarship opportunities within that if I could get that start through that, then it would be my best chance to get through the door. I had a chance, because I did that, to get into a scholarship program called the Cone Scholar Program over there. And there were 20 students in the freshman class that were part of that. And I haven't thought about that for a long time, but that was another thing that kind of helped me, because it was, all people that were involved with maybe the humanities. And that was a real eye opener for me as well. The reason I decided to go into law school was because I took a journalism law class over there, and I had been gone after I had been working 2 or 3 jobs, and so I would go to school, but I wouldn't have had the work. But I knew I couldn't miss the class and not do the reading. We had a very strict professor who used the Socratic method, where if you didn't know the answer, you just got grilled, and which was really what it was like in law school. And I was just like, I have to go anyway, or I'll never know the answer. And after the first test I took, I was gone when he passed them back, and he said to me, Miss Berline, at the time, I need you to come to my office hours to be able to get your test. And I thought, what did I do? And he said, I don't want to seem like you were surprised. Like, I'm surprised, but I know you didn't cheat, but you got the second highest grade on this test. Have you ever considered law school? And how did you do this? And I told him, I work 3 jobs. I can't get prepared, but I'm not going to miss your class. So I have to do my learning in a different way. And he helped me to get to law school. I don't know if I answered your question. As far as figuring out what you want to do, I guess if I had advice to give is, if you decide something isn't for you, be okay with setting that aside. Be okay. It's not a race. Education isn't a race. Be okay with setting it aside. Be okay with going after what really matters to you. And things change. The world has changed a lot since I was in school. I would have never anticipated this. And there are so many opportunities for people. There are plenty of opportunities for people who decide not to get certainly a 4-year degree. There are plenty of opportunities, and I would really encourage people to follow those nudges of, maybe I want to try this. Maybe I want to try this. Your 20s are a time where you should be looking into all kinds of things.
That's really good advice. That's really good advice. That was actually one of the next questions.
Yeah, that's kind of the point
yeah.
of the show, is to help people who are considering DAC or at DAC.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you have?
Oh, you can go ahead.
What kind of made you decide? Pause. I said
I said too.
I know.
It's okay.
What made you decide to pick advertising as your major? Kind of going through that process of starting as a music major to then deciding to be an advertising major.
Well, I liked it. My college roommate's dad worked at Leo Burnett, it's an advertising agency in Chicago, which was a really big deal. And so I had the opportunity to tour the Leo Burnett as, the roommate of the friend of the daughter. And it was really fascinating. And I really did like the idea of sales. Now, it turns out I really just I like sales more than advertising. The reason I ended up taking this media law class, this journalism law class, is I was sitting in a room where a journalism major came in, because we were in the same school, advertising and journalism, and they didn't know I was an advertising major, and they were talking about how, well, the journalism majors, we have to take this media law class. The advertising majors don't have to do hardly anything hard. And I was like, I'm taking that class. I'm taking that class. And that actually, just being kind of stubborn, like, I'm going to show this stranger who I don't even know who it is, that changed the trajectory of my life. Like I said, listen to those nudges. But I changed to advertising because I thought I could do that. I could make money at it. And also, I realized I was a voice person. I was a singer. I didn't play an instrument. And my freshman year, when I went into some of those music classes at the University of Illinois, didn't have a lot of piano training. I realized how much I didn't know. I was like a salutatorian in my class. I was like a good grades, good girl who tried to really please my parents. And I called my mom, was like, I think I'm not going to pass this class. Can I come home? And my mom was like, well, of course, do everything you can. But I realized I did not have the ear for instrumentation and things in music. I just hadn't been trained that way. So had I had it to go back and do it over again, I would have, if I wanted to stay in music, I would have definitely tried to get that training for myself ahead of time. I just knew I got to make a change.
Makes sense.
So could you go back if you decided right now and you wanted to be a lawyer? Could you be a lawyer right now? I
could, but there are a couple things I need to do. Because I practiced in Milwaukee, and I did not practice long enough to get reciprocity, which would mean that my law license could get transferred here. And I wasn't ever planning on going back, so I just let my license go. I didn't continue my continuing education or anything like that. Yeah. So my license is in limbo somewhere. So I would first have to go back and get that straightened out, and then I would have to pass the bar here. And that would be thousands of dollars and months and months. And I've considered it. I have considered it. And yet I'm just, the stress of that, I really liked being a prosecutor in Milwaukee because I got to be I like to be right and be in control and have the last word and, just make everyone kind of do what I wanted. But then when I tried to apply that to relationships, it didn't work out so well. Yeah. So the stress of it, I have a lot of respect for lawyers, for judges, but the stress of that doesn't contain the kind of payoff that I personally need just for my own soul.
I definitely considered being a lawyer for a while, but
I think when people don't know what they want to do, they're like, I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's because that's the normal thing that people go to school for.
And the nice thing about law school is, and I would encourage people to go, it's kind of expensive now, but it was expensive then. But the nice thing about it is you don't need a particular major to get in. You don't have to be a history major. I was an advertising major. You need to have decent grades and a decent LSAT score in order to get in. So you have quite a mixture of people. A lot of people do study political science or history or something. But there's a mixture of a lot of different people. And we had at Drake, we had people that had one career and then have said, I want to be a lawyer. And frankly, those most of them were guys. There were some women. Those people who gave up an entire career and moved their family to the middle of Iowa, they were the best students of all because they knew what they were giving up. The ones of us who just came from college, we were kind of like, let's form a softball team. We were, yeah. Did I answer your question? I don't even know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Did you have any specific mentors that played a role in what you do today?
Yes. I've had, as far as law, my Steve Helly was the professor that basically said, I know you're not cheating, but how could you're so, basically, you seem so dumb in class, and how could you have done so well? But that gave me confidence, it really did. And I had people that trained me in sales and trained me, like, I've done several different network marketing companies in my lifetime. And one of the things you realize if you're in sales, that is like full commission sales where if you don't, you got to kill it to eat it kind of thing. You have to learn to do the things that you don't want to do or that you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it. And that is something that it's like a sacrificial thing that it has to come from inside. And I don't know that our world necessarily right now encourages that. But that is, in order to be successful in that type of environment, you really need that. You need that if you're gonna go on and be in your higher education. You have to study, or you're just not going to do well unless you're just a genius to start with. And even then, you need to study. So I had different people in my life that were kind of sales mentors that did that. I've had so many great mentors in my life for different areas. Mm-hmm. And, I would say that really it would be people from even my church family who really helped me to continue to kind of see the good even in the midst of bad, even in the midst of hardship, really trying to focus on what is good. Because really that's the way out of any hardship anyway.
Yeah.
Transitioning into what's some stuff that you like to do in your free time besides all of this
that. I'm a runner. I like to run, and every year I participate for the last, I think, 12 years, except the year that they didn't have it due to COVID. I've participated in the Howl at the Moon race, which is, it's an ultra race. It's a timed ultra. So it's out of Kennecott Cove. It's a national race, but I've been in it. And no, it's not because I'm fast. No, I'm the back of the pack runner where it's like I just want to finish vertically and not have an ambulance scoop me up before it's over. But for me, it's that personal challenge. And always in August, that race tells me how I'm doing physically. I started a long time ago. My kids were really, really small then, and they're grown adults now. And so I've been able to see over time, and I could see when I was really suffering from my mother, when my mother passed away, I could see when I was suffering with grief and what that had done to my body. And so, like where a lot of people have January 1st as their day that they kind of take stock, mine is usually that first or second week in August because I get those race results. How far could I push my body for 8 hours? So that's kind of like bizarre and weird, but it takes a lot to train for a marathon, or in this case, an ultra where you try and go 32 miles. So that's a lot of road time. It's a lot of time on your feet. And so I guess I would call that, I do it because it's good for me, but I also do it because it has to be a hobby, right? It has to be free time because,
yeah.
And then I like to read, I like to knit, I like to be in shows and direct shows, plays, that is.
How did you get into directing theater? Because that's
how we met.
Yeah.
I stumbled in.
Yeah.
My kids were involved with theater, and they loved it. And then I had an opportunity to co-direct a show, and the gal who was going to direct it left, and so I was like, oh, I guess I'm directing this show. As a big play at Red Mask, and it was a lot of fun, and they were kids at that time. And then I thought I did some help. I helped with a show at Northridge. They did The Lion King there, and then we did Grease, and that's where I met you. Mm-hmm. And I was on the board of DLO and DLO Musical Theater, And at the time, we decided we're going to do a teen program. And that was the first teen musical. And I was just honored to be able to direct it. And we had a lot of fun. We did. I had no idea what I was doing. And but, we pulled it together. We figured it out. And I should say this. Because we did a couple other shows, Footloose and Little Mermaid. And when we did Little Mermaid, there was it was a question of whether or not we were going to be able to fly. We called it Flying the Mermaids because we used equipment that basically had people flying from the ceiling and it looked like underwater. And for a while, it looked like we might not be able to do that. And I was kind of discouraged. And I walked into a rehearsal and I overheard Landon talking to someone saying, well, if Shannon says we're flying, we're flying. That's just it. And I was like, oh man, that's a lot of pressure. I'm going to now have to make this happen. And we ended up fundraising and able to do that. And since then, we have had other shows there, not mine, but other shows with that organization that have been able to fly. They're redoing the auditorium now, so that it might even be easier to do that. It's so kind of like a groundbreaking thing. Yeah, but you made a difference there, Landon.
That
You
sounds
definitely
like
made a
something
difference.
he would say.
I
I'm
was
sure.
because usually in the past, my past experience, what Shannon wanted, Shannon got. So
We got it, but
but I was the first one to fly across the stage. I opened the show and flew
That's
across the stage.
awesome.
Yes, it
That's
was
awesome.
pretty awesome.
I love it.
I didn't know what to do up there because at first I was just like dangling. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll move my feet and whatever. And then I remember Shannon yelled at me. She's like, you're not a mermaid. You're not.
That's so funny.
I yelled in love.
I didn't know how to swim like a fish in the air.
How do you swim? Like
I don't
a fish in
know.
the
I
air?
never figured it out.
How did you do it though? Did you just, like scoop? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, you had a trumpet, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a trumpet. I had to hold a trumpet because I was like, have you seen Little Mermaid?
yeah.
Okay, so Triton's little fish that brings him out. That person.
Oh, you were okay.
So he just paid attention to his trumpet and was
gotcha.
like,
Yeah, I just did that.
I love it. Did you ever plan to be? Well, I guess you kind of talked about how you came back here, but did you ever plan on doing everything that you do now?
Did you think you would be where you are today?
Yes.
I guess.
That's the question. But.
yes and no. Because sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, gosh, you were nowhere where you thought you would be, and that started in my 20s. So if you ever feel like that, just blow that off. That's a lie. Literally, that's a lie straight from the pit of hell. So I have to fight that, right? Because we have these expectations that get put in our head, or we put them in our head when we're younger than even you guys. So in that regard, I expected to be a lot, totally different. Bigger and better. But as far as trying to make an impact, I've always wanted to make an impact. And once I realized that the most important thing was making an impact on the person or people that's just right in front of you in the moment, that became the most incredible thing for me, like that being an encourager. And, if there was a job called professional encourager, that would be me. That is really what I wanted, and that I've gotten. I didn't dream it would take so many different forms, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for this community that has embraced me and allowed me to contribute and helped me grow.
Yeah. People give Danville a bad rep, but there's a lot of good things that happen here. A lot.
Yes.
There's opportunities that you only see in big cities that are here as well, just smaller. But there's a lot of great things that go on.
Yes, and I do find that folks that have moved from outside the community and come in are like, wow, there's so much here. So I would encourage, and then folks like me who grew up here was like, boo, and then left and came back, and I was like, well, if I'm going to say boo about it, then it's because I didn't contribute to it. And so I would just encourage anyone who feels like things are in the dumps, figure out a place where you can contribute. Figure out how to make it better. Because don't you think if everyone just did their little bit to do what they could, that the whole world would be cleaned up like that? It would. It would make your head spin. Yeah. It would happen so fast.
That's my plan, is to move to a bigger city, but not because of what everybody else is like, Danville's a dump or whatever, but not because of that. Because I do theater and I sing and I see the stuff that's great here. Like we have like we have the Fisher Theater. It's a beautiful theater, and they have their season members. A lot of people come out to these things. Like when we have shows, they're packed.
Right.
People love that stuff.
They do.
Do you have any long and short-term goals for where you are in your life?
Well, I'm a lot older than you, so my long term is a shorter term than your long term. But I would like to end up not just having this magazine, but to also as I look toward my growing with this company, because I've been with it 6 months, so I'm a newbie. The company's not new, but I am. I'd like to not just grow the magazine, but have a couple others, and in addition to that, maybe get into some management roles there. I think I would really enjoy that, and I just love developing people, and also I really want to find a way to. I have a project in my mind that I call the Say So project, and I really would. Part of my aim is to get that up and off the ground within the next year to 18 months, and that has to do with helping people engage with the power of their voice and to be able to make a difference. Like both like your voice of you are really in charge of more than you realize of your life and the quality of your life, and then also your relationships and how you can empower and encourage others. And then like as from a spiritual perspective, we have a lot of authority when we use our voice. If you're a Christian, it's just, whoa, you have so much authority. So all of those different pieces, and I call it the Say So project. And so I'm working on finding a way to articulate that and provide it to the community that is absorbable. It's not a specific enough thing to be a goal, Landon, but that's where I'm headed.
Can you talk to us one more time about kind of this magazine? I'm going to hold it up again for our viewers. Yay. But if maybe they're not from Danville and they're just a Vermilion County or somebody that, is from DAC, how can they get access to this?
A couple of things. Number one is if you know one of the residents that receives it in your mailbox, definitely borrow a copy of theirs. My next step, and I haven't done this yet, is I would like to get copies of this into the Danville Public Library and even here at the DAC Library, because it just would be nice for people to be able to see it, right? And to be able to look at it. That would be the easiest thing if you're not someone who got it right away. And then always Vermilion Advantage and the city and the Convention Visitors Bureau and the school district has extra copies as well. Or you can call me, you can call me or message me and I'll put you on the mailing list.
Awesome.
Where is this company located? Is it?
It's actually in Milwaukee. Think about how weird that is that my world came full circle.
Yeah.
They're from Milwaukee. The CEO lives in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And the management is everywhere. So up in Canada, and there are several different printing houses that actually do the printing and the distributing, and they're up in the Wisconsin area. So that's where it started.
Okay.
It started with in 2007 with 6 magazines, and now there's millions.
It says celebrating 15 years. I thought it was like, a rating. Like you have to be 15 years or older to read this magazine.
Well, actually, there's a sport we have. This is interesting since you mentioned that. We do have our own sports website, and it's called BVMSports.com. And it is awesome. I just got trained to be able to help promote this. So we're building our region of that. And what it is it's regional sports, even national, but then also down to like peewee sports. So people can actually go on and put their own sports stories on there. Students can go on, you have to be 12. So when you mentioned you have to be 12. And one of the things that I would like to do is in this next coming school year is work with kids that are aspiring sports enthusiasts or writers who would like to start putting pictures of if you go to a football game and you're a basketball game and you take a picture of your friends, you write up a little story, you get a national byline. So for people who are interested in journalism, even a mild interest, this is an amazing way to bring that to the community as well. And that is for everyone. That's free for everyone. Awesome. And sports really brings people together. So that's BVMSports.com.
Yeah.
Landon's not a huge fan of sports, but we joke about that sometimes.
On the show.
Yep. Time for DAC Attack. I
Yeah.
think.
So at the end of every episode, we have this little game. It's called DAC Attack, and we just ask this or that questions, and you have to answer as fast as you can.
Yep.
Oh no.
Okay. So I mean, it's really simple. So
Okay.
dogs or cats,
Dogs.
Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
eggs or bacon,
Bacon.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
online shopping or in-person shopping,
In person.
Car or truck?
Car.
candy or popcorn.
Popcorn.
Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Pancake or oh,
You went 2 in a row. Pancake or waffle.
Pancake.
coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
I was definitely reading that in my head too. Like I did not mean to say that out loud. Sorry
Well,
for stepping on your toes, Landon.
We've never had a product, so I'm really
yes,
excited.
a product on the show.
To advertise. So go pick up your copy of Danville Area Living, and you might see some DAC things in here every once in a while. Maybe.
I love the product.
Yeah.
Little
Like we're
promo
on-
thing going on. I love it.
And if someone wants to reach me in order to be able to get added to the list, or just with a question, or maybe they've got an idea for it, it would be S Schroeder, would be SCHROEDER at bestversionmedia.com. That's how to find me.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to be added to the mailing list, make sure to hit up Shannon.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being on the show today,
Yes,
Shannon.
you.
We really
Really
appreciate
appreciate it.
having you here.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. This has been DACcast.
With Aaron and Landon, stay classy, Jaguars.